Ladies and gentlemen, joining me on the line, Leanne Morgan is here. She talked to us back in April was the last time you and I spoke. Did you know this?
Was it April?
I believe it's so. It was late April, and the reason I bring this up is because while you and I were talking off air, you're from down in Tennessee, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about radio stations, and you mentioned a radio station that you actually listened to and stuff. Well, I looked up the station. I found out that they're actually a part of our company, a part of Cumulus. Yeah. And so I found one of the names from one of the folks down there, and I wrote them, and I said, hey, just so you know, Leanne Morgan was on the show. We got talking about radio stations, and she listed you as one of the favorites and really liked you guys and, yada, yada, yada. The girl wrote back. Her name's Heather Harrington down there. She does a midday show.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to read you what she wrote about you.
Oh, okay.
That's super cool. Thank you for sharing that. We are so proud of Leanne. Gosh, what she has been able to achieve is so aspiring, especially for women who have sacrificed to have their family and are in no middle stage of their life. She's the best. I'm going to share this with everybody. So I was hoping I would get a chance to interview again, and I've been saving that email for just such an occasion.
Well, Adam, thank you, my darling. Thank you and she is darling. And I tell you, people in Knoxville, because I've done comedy for over 23 years, and there were a lot of years nobody cared about anything, but people on the radio here in Knoxville would let me come on when I didn't have anything to promote, anything going on, probably should have quit. They would always lift me up and have me on. Oh, God love them.
No, it's very cool, and it was fun to share that because on my end of things, you don't hear that stuff very often from people on your side of it. So it was fun for me to share with them that you remember them. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yes. Well, thank you for doing that.
Well, Leanne, it's time for my part of the interview now. How are you? It's been a while.
Honey, I'm good. I babysat last night 2 grandbabies now. Since I've talked to you, another one was born.
Really?
I've got 2 grandsons. Yes, honey, I'm in heaven.
Let me ask you this. Are there the only grandkids, or are there multiple grandkids?
No, I've got, my oldest is 2.5.
Okay.
And then his little baby brother was born in May, so I've got 2. It's my son, my oldest child, he and his wife, their children.
So now it's going to lead me to a couple questions because in my family, we have 2 boys, and on my side of the family and my wife's side of the family, they're the only grandkids. So they are spoiled to no end.
I bet. Have people bought them a lot of little Jeeps that you can plug in and all that kind of stuff? Do they have that kind of?
Oh yeah, my oldest son Jace got a Corvette, and it had a personalized license plate.
I know. I'm sitting here trying to think, should I get my baby a Corvette?
Now you should. Well, I mean, listen, I think going off-road on that kind of stuff is kind of awesome, so you may want to think about it.
See, my 2.5-year-old is a big fan of cars, Lightning McQueen and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Mater. And he said the other day, he had a big monster truck, and I said, is that a monster truck? Because he's a baby. He's still learning his cars. And he goes, no, that's a Corvette. And I said, where did he learn Corvette? And they go, Lightning McQueen. So, okay, now I'm going to have to get that. But they're out here in the yard all the time. I got them a playground, like a little play set. That's been my money splurge out of this whole thing. Since I started making enough money to pay my own taxes, for years I would just get a little bit of money here and there doing comedy, and then I wouldn't save for taxes, and my husband would get so mad at me, and he goes, "I got to pay your taxes again." But now, people go, "What are you doing? Are you buying a new house? What are you doing?" I go, "No." My husband still is in my ear saying, "Eat the continental breakfast."
Yeah.
Leanne, don't go to Panera. Because he is so tight with money, but I did get to splurge and get them a play set.
Oh, that's
a big
awesome.
Jungle gym. Thank you.
Oh, that's so cool. They're going to have. So what are their names?
Charles Wilbur and James Jackson. They're both named after great-granddaddies.
Oh, really? See, we had both my kids, their middle names are after grandparents. They're great-grandparents, so.
I think that's so special, don't you?
It was hard on my wife's side of the family because they didn't have, the best option was Leon.
Oh! Like Leon Redbone. Well, Leo, that's kind of similar. Leo is one of our great-granddaddies, and I've got 2 daughters, and I think they want a bunch of babies. So there's going to be a bunch of little senior citizen-sounding names coming.
A buddy of mine, one kid is Evelyn and the other one is Mabel. They went very old-fashioned on their names. So.
Oh, that's cute.
So, Leanne, I'm just having a ball talking to you about this stuff, but you've got, I know we got to talk about tour. You're actually coming to Des Moines here in a couple weeks. You excited?
I'm so excited, and I cannot believe that, okay, the first time I came through, I don't think I sold out. I mean, I had a good numbers, but I didn't sell out. And this time, they added 2 more shows. Because I've sold one out, I think.
23rd,
and then the other one's about
25th.
sold out, and so they added a 3rd one. I cannot believe that. But I am very excited. And when I came for the Big Panty Tour, I was coming off of that COVID pandemic talking about Jell-O salads, and a lot of girls in Des Moines knew what I was talking about. You know? I didn't realize how much we had in common.
I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm looking at the Hoyt Sherman's website where you'll be performing. No one else has 3 shows.
They don't?
No.
Oh, thank you for telling me that, Adam.
I'm just a world of good news for you today.
I know. I'm kind of competitive. I mean, I try not to be, and I don't want to compare myself to other people because that steals joy. But when I do hear stuff like that, it kind of tickles me, Adam.
Is there okay, let me ask you this. This is going to be real petty of me. But with everything you've accomplished, is there anybody you think back to and it's like, yeah, you didn't believe in me?
Oh, yeah, honey, there's a lot. And I forgive them. I probably wasn't ready for anything like this. But, yeah, I look back on it and I think, Comedy Central never would have me for anything. I mean, wouldn't even talk about it.
Really?
And I don't know if they saw me. Lord, I probably had on a pair of capris with birds on them and a kitten heel and a bad-looking bob, and they probably thought, oh, she's not our demographic, and I wasn't. I mean, I think most boys high on marijuana in the basement were watching. I wasn't that demographic, but I look back on it, and I think there were so many no's. I got a lot of no's, but it was the best thing probably that ever happened to me because I just kept working on my craft, and I just kept going.
Leanne, let me ask you this because I think this is interesting, and I think a lot of people might be in, I don't want to say the same situation, but they may be looking at life kind of like you, where you've had, for lack of a better term, you changed your fate later in life than what most people do. There's not a ton of stories out there like yours. What was the moment that you were like, no, I'm going to do this. I am going to change my trajectory, and I'm going to make this work? Was there that moment?
Yes. And I had really struggled, and things were not going well, and I cried to my husband, and we went out to dinner, and I started crying, and I said, this is not going well. And I keep hitting, no's, and nobody cares, and I couldn't get, I was booked, but it wasn't great gigs, and so anyway, I said to him, maybe I should open up a retail store or something in Knoxville, like just do a completely different thing. And he said, no, you're crazy, that's crazy. And then I had done a dry bar special, which I thought nobody would ever see, and it really didn't translate into ticket sales, really, but I got some fans from it. But what was more important, I got a little bit of money for it, and that money, I took that money and I invested in myself, because every time I did have a gig, I would buy my kids haircuts, and that was kind of our thing. My husband, took care of all the big bills and all that, but that was kind of the mad money where I could go and I could get their clothes for school and their, Santa Claus and all that kind of stuff. But I never, doing that, I never got headshots made like I should. I never really invested in my career, and I didn't have a website and all that kind of stuff. And when I made that money from Dry Bar, I thought, you know what, I am going to give it a whirl. I'm going to hire social media people. I'd been watching, I'm a big fan of Jim Gaffigan, and I was watching what he was doing, and I told my manager at the time, I said, he's got social media people, and I'm going to do that. And he goes, you can't afford it. That's what my old manager said. He goes, you cannot afford it. You don't need to do it. And I just did it on my own. And I put that money into my career, and it was the best thing I ever did. And they got me organized and started putting out clips, and I found my audience, and it changed my career. And all this happened. I mean, all this happened. I just did a movie with Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon. I mean, it's just crazy.
Is there any talk of that? I mean, you've got such a great story. Is there talk of making that a movie at some point? And the reason I asked it like that is because I don't know what people can say with the writer's strike and the actor's strike going on. So if you can't talk about it, don't worry about it.
We have not talked about that, but in my mind, I think it's a good story. And I think, I don't know if it would be a feature, but I think that I need to tell that story because I think I'm a dreamer, and I do believe in wonderful things happening for people, and I think it's inspirational because I know as a young mom, I put my children first, and I wouldn't have had that any other way, but I had dreams too.
Yeah.
And I just think and even though, things had happened to me in my childhood, and there were, I had insecurities and I didn't have the resources to, go out to Hollywood and try to make it at 18 or whatever. Yeah. But going to the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains and selling jewelry in women's homes and all that, I think it proves to people, you may not have the traditional path, but you can make your own path.
Leanne, when I say it, I'm really not blowing smoke. It really is a great story because it is, I'm 42 right now, and there are things that I would like to do, and I think, you know what, I don't know if I can make that work. But then I look at your story, I'm like, well, for lack of a better term, I can do that.
Yes. Yes, you can, Adam. And I hope you hear this from me. 42 is a baby. I hope you know that. Well, I remember turning 40 and breaking down and crying, and I thought that was old. It is not old, Adam. You need to hear me on that.
You know what the weirder one was for me was 30.
Was that a booger?
I don't know why that messed with my head so much, but I felt old after 30.
Well, and my boy, my oldest, is about to turn 30 in a couple of weeks, and I have not talked to him about it, and I wonder how he feels.
It was weird. Like 40 wasn't a big deal to me. It was also during the pandemic, and I'm not a real big birthday person, so it wasn't a big deal. But but 30 really messed with my head.
Okay, 40 messed with my head, and I took to the bed. But 30 was not bad for me. I don't know why. My sister, I think 30 almost killed her. But isn't that weird? And then 50 felt like somebody let me out of prison. I don't know why. I think because all of a sudden I didn't care what people thought.
I told one of my best friends, he's a little bit older than me. He's going to be 50 here. And I have an 8-year-old and a 1-year-old. He has a 3-year-old, I believe, and a 7-year-old. And then we were talking. I said, man, I'm going to be, by the time my youngest Coop graduates, I'm going to be an old man. He goes, you? We're going to be the two grandpa-looking dads at the graduation. Oh, it's so great your grandpa showed up for this. Nope, that's my dad. So.
Oh, honey, it's going to keep you young, and y'all are going to feel like $1 million, and y'all are going to think about it. Everybody's having children a little later in life. Y'all are all going to, honey, look just like young, I don't know what, NSYNC with these children. I was trying to think, who's young and hip? And I went to NSYNC. Tell how old I am.
I took my wife to a Backstreet Boys concert a few years ago, so.
Oh, my Lord. Okay. I took my baby when she was in a volleyball tournament in Reno, Nevada. She was 12 at the Nationals, which is a whole other thing, and I talk about it in my new hour. But at the time, at that big casino, they said, oh, the Backstreet Boys are going to be here. And I bought us tickets because I thought, when are you going to see them again?
Yeah.
And we had time. And she was, 12, and she was like, who are these people? I remember going, one little girl went with us, and she put her head down on the table, a casino restaurant table, and took a nap.
Oh, wow.
And my child was like, okay, yeah, it's catchy. But, who are they? She thought they were a bunch of old men. But anyway, they were wonderful and all had rhythm,
Yeah, no, we went to Minneapolis a few years ago. And Leanne, I've worked in rock radio for 20 years. It is in the top 5 of loudest shows I've ever been at.
Was the Backstreet Boys?
Yeah, it was the Backstreet Boys. My wife, she's a huge fan. And we got to go down, and she got to get their picture with it. I've never seen her happier. She did not smile that big in our wedding pictures.
Oh my! See, and then y'all are that age where I could see that.
So
Yeah. See, I'm at the age where, like, I was into George Michael and Prince and all of that.
Yeah.
So the Backstreet Boys, I was breastfeeding. When the Backstreet Boys came out, I was breastfeeding.
that's awesome.
All right, you doll, I've got to go, but darn it, I've
know.
had a ball. Adam, you angel, I've had a ball.
All right. Stay in touch, okay?
Okay, I will. Thank you for all your sweet words, you doll.
All right. We'll see you later. I'll have all the links on the website. Ladies and gentlemen, Leanne Morgan.
Thank you.